I'm joined by Bradley University head women's golf coach, Halley Morell. Coach, how are you doing today? Thank you for being able to chat.
I'm doing great. Thanks so much, Gavin, for having me and promoting women's college golf in this way.
Yeah, so how has your off season and summer been? And have you gotten to do much outside of coaching this summer?
Yeah, it's gone really well. I was able to actually take a vacation. I went on an Alaskan cruise with my brother in May, so that was kind of a good reset and had some good fun there before getting into the recruiting season. Been recruiting a lot this summer and doing a lot of fundraising events, and just getting ready for this fall season. So been pretty busy, but definitely exciting, and we're ready to get the season started.
Yeah, college golf is interesting because you have both your, fall season and your spring season. So you play in both seasons, whereas, most sports, you're in one season, whether it be, fall, winter, or spring, but you don't get much of an off season. So, these few
No.
months that you get in the summer, what does an off season look like for you as a college golf coach? Do take many vacations? Do you do recruiting? Do you play a lot of golf? What does the
Yeah,
off season
so it's
look
a
like for
little
you?
different in the summer and the fall off season. Summer's really focused on recruiting. So usually May, end of May, kind of take some time to myself, get to see my family or maybe take a vacation. But then once June starts, it's pretty heavy in the recruiting and we have a lot of outings and fundraising. So that's kind of my main focus in June and July before the students all come back to campus. November and December a little different because there's just not as many junior events in those months, especially up here in Illinois. So a little bit more time to myself, kind of preparing for the spring season. And then I usually try to head to the coaches convention to kind of get more information and network with some of my coaches that I don't get to see a whole lot from across the country. So, and then I usually go and visit my family for the holidays as well. I'm from Ohio originally, so get to go home and see them. So again, a little different in each off season, but that's kind of what it's been the last couple of years.
So you said Bradley is in Illinois.
Yes, in Peoria, Illinois, kind of the middle of the state.
So what does the, golf season look like in the winter months? Your November to, April. What does your
Yeah,
team
great
do to
question.
train, in the winter months?
Um, yeah, believe it or not, the weather stays pretty, last couple of years, it stayed pretty warm through November. We really haven't had any snow until the students are actually off campus after that fall semester. So they've been able to kind of stay outside and do some practicing even in November after our fall season is over. So that's been really nice. But then when they come back in mid-January, that's kind of our worst weather month. So we do have a really nice indoor facility here at Bradley. There's two simulator bays that we have inside, as well as a chipping green with three different chipping types of turf and a big putting green as well with six different holes, some different slopes. So that's all in our indoor facility that's about 2 minutes from campus. So when they get back in January, that's kind of what we focus on, doing a lot more work with their numbers and carry distances so that when we're ready to go in the spring, we kind of know those numbers. And doing some just basic chipping and putting indoors as much as we can.
So I'm always interested about, talking about your golfing journey. So how did you get started playing golf? And what age did you begin playing? Did you get started playing yourself or did you play with, a sibling or a family member growing up?
Yeah, so I've had a golf club in my hand since I was about 4 or 5 years old. I have a big golfing family. So my dad was a big golfer. He didn't play in college, but he played a lot when he graduated college. My and both sets of grandparents on both sides were big golfers. So I actually kind of started in a little three-hole league when I was about 6 or 7 years old with my grandma, and we would go out and play three holes in the morning in the summer, like once a week, and then go get lunch after. So always, grew up around golf. Didn't really start doing tournaments or anything like that until about my seventh grade year, because I played a lot of sports. So I played basketball and cross country and a lot of different sports and softball. But then kind of started to focus on golf as I was moving into the high school season, that seventh, eighth grade year before high school, and so that I could be ready to play on my high school team. And I played in high school at it. So I'm from Brecksville, Ohio. It's outside of Cleveland.
So you just said you're from Ohio. How was your junior and amateur golf career growing up in Ohio? And did you get to play in any notable, junior or amateur tournaments, growing up?
Yes, so junior golf in Ohio it was really booming when I was coming up. Actually, a lot of my friends that I played with, even in junior golf, played collegiate golf, and some of them are actually even on tour right now. I have two friends that I grew up playing with that are have their LPGA tour card. Haley Hartford played at Furman, and
Okay.
then is on the LPGA tour, and Jillian Hollis played at Georgia and is also on the LPGA tour right now. And then there's
Okay.
countless others. Bailey Tardy, got to play with her a little bit growing up. She's on to the Epson tour, I think, or just got her
Okay.
card. Danielle Nicholson played at Akron. So like a lot of just big name golfers kind of that were growing up and playing golf around. So it was really a fun environment to grow up in that area. And didn't do a whole lot of the AJGA stuff, but the biggest kind of junior tournaments that I qualified for was called the Optimist International event down, and I played that twice. And so the championship is down in it was down in Florida at PGA National. I think they've since moved that site, but it was really fun because players from all over the world came to that event. And so it's kind of was my first experience to that big international tournament scenes. I qualified when I was 15, my first time. Meeting kids from all over the world and got to play golf with them. So it really made me want to continue down that road of high level competitive golf and playing with people from all around the world because it was really fun. So that was kind of the biggest tournament I played in. As I got further into my college career, I had some success at the Women's Western. I made it to the quarterfinals twice there. And I finished runner up in the Ohio Am to Haley Hartford, actually. So but that was more, as I was moving through my college career.
Did you get to play high school golf? And if so, how was your high school experience?
I did, and I had a pretty great high school golf experience. Came in as a freshman and I was able to start right away on varsity. So that was pretty cool. Our high school team was not very good before I got there, and it was kind of just luck that me and then another freshman that was pretty solid, and a sophomore who actually hadn't played the year before on the team. We all came in that my freshman year. And so we had a pretty solid three right away that was coming in, and we worked pretty hard that year. Didn't have much success, but then we started to advance and we won our conference that next year. And we actually made it to state as a team twice, which is pretty rare for high school. Typically, you only have like maybe one or two really good golfers on a high school team, but we were actually able to make it to the state tournament my junior and senior year. So it was really fun to play as a team because I got a little glimpse on what college golf could look like because we were able to go down and be all together and do the state tournament. So we finished 10th in the state my senior year. And so that was a pretty fun experience.
Yeah, so after your junior career, you began your college golf career at Robert Morris University in Pennsylvania for your first two college seasons. So how did you end up at Robert Morris University, being from Ohio?
Yeah, so I kind of was recruited at the lower level Division 1. That's kind of where my skills were. So Division 1, but not the, Big Ten or anything like that. So I visited a bunch of schools actually, all over the Midwest mostly. I was trying to stay within like about a 6-hour radius. Wanted to get away from home, but not, too far away. So I was looking at schools in Illinois and Indiana and Pennsylvania and Ohio, kind of all over. And Robert Morris was actually my last visit. I kind of had narrowed it down a little bit, and Coach Stone reached out and said, "Hey, you're only 2 hours away. Like, I would love to have you just come and check it out." And it was my last visit that I was planning on going on before making a decision. And I went and I just really fell in love with the facilities mostly. The golf course we played, it was a Pete Dye private country club, really, really good facilities. They actually had an indoor golf dome as well. So that was important because staying in a place that it was cold still in the winter, I needed somewhere to practice inside. So they just had a really nice facilities, and the school was a great private institution. I wanted to go for business. So it just kind of really fit everything I was looking for.
Yeah, and what did you learn playing for Robert Morris, and what was it like to play for and represent the Colonials?
It was great. Really learned a lot. Getting into the weight room and getting stronger was a big help. So my freshman year, kind of being able to have that structure, I'd never really worked out before that. So that was, great with the strength coach and having, a coach to be able to help me improve and being able to practice at these amazing facilities every single day. My freshman year, I learned a lot from our two seniors that we had on the team, and then they graduated and I stepped into a more leadership role and saw a lot of success as a sophomore. So it was just cool to kind of learn and grow in that environment.
Your Robert Morris career was highlighted by you finishing runner-up at the NEC championship as a sophomore. Can you talk to me about that championship in your sophomore year and what it was like to finish runner-up?
It was really great. To finish off my career there. I knew, because I had a kind of an interesting experience at Robert Morris. December of my sophomore year, they announced that they were dropping the program along with 6 other teams. So that was kind of a forced transfer. So I knew that conference championship my sophomore year. I'd already committed by then to Penn State, but I knew it was going to be my last time playing for Robert Morris with those teammates. So it was really bittersweet because I wanted to finish it right, and it was the last tournament, in the foreseeable future for the Robert Morris women's golf team, and still they don't have a women's golf team there. So I definitely wanted to finish on a great foot going in, and I just played really solid golf. I really don't have any complaints. The player from LIU had a great week. I think she shot 67 one day and just beat me, but I gave it a run, and I was really happy with my second place finish because she just had a great tournament. So it was a good way to finish off my career at Robert Morris in the right direction.
Yes, after Robert Morris, you finished your college career at Penn State University. So how did you end up at Penn State University?
Yep. So mentioned, it was kind of a weird, weird situation. It was definitely not my choice to transfer. I really liked Robert Morris and everything we were doing, but they ran into some financial difficulties and dropped 7 programs. So the choice was I could either stay at Robert Morris and finish my degree, just not being able to play college golf, or find somewhere to transfer. And I loved college golf. I was really starting to succeed and see success in that structure. And so I was like, well, I need to find somewhere else to transfer to. And after 2 years, I had seen a lot of success. So I was much more highly recruited the second time around after 2 years of having some success on the college golf stage. So I went on a lot of visits, actually. It was not as fun being in college already and still going on recruiting visits, but it was what I had to do. And Penn State, just again, it was just kind of a home fit. It was only 2 hours from Robert Morris, so I just drove over there one day and met with the coaches and saw all the facilities, and it was just kind of everything I was looking for. I was ready for a bigger school at that point. I don't think I would have liked to go to a bigger school right off the bat, but after 2 years of college, I wanted to challenge myself, playing against the best competition I could find and kind of a different environment. So it was just a really good fit, meeting with the coaches. They were great. And so it was just the right fit at that point.
What were some of your favorite memories or accomplishments playing for the Penn State Nittany Lions?
Yeah, so I had a couple really high finishes at Penn State. I had 2 top 5s, one being in our home tournament my senior year, and then the other one being at the River Landing Classic my senior year. I was able to play in most of my events for those last 2 years. I had an injury my junior year, and so I was kind of out of a couple events there, but those were kind of some of my highlights. I had some really good rounds, and we had a great team that was able to, we won our home tournament my senior year. So that was really fun. But just being able to play for the Nittany Lions and being able to travel to some amazing places, it was just a really great way to challenge myself. And I was a lot better golfer every single year just by continuing to push myself to get better.
Yeah, what was it like to play Division I college golf?
Yeah, like I said, I had 2 very different experiences, from a small private school at kind of a lower level of Division I, at a school of only about 6,000. We didn't play in a lot of the high level tournaments, but it was still a great learning experience, and I learned from my teammates. And then moving over to Penn State, where everything is heightened at a higher level, playing in these big time events with Duke and Wake Forest. So kind of each year was a challenge for me. And I just continued to adjust and work hard at it. So it was a great experience because I learned a lot in those 2 different environments.
So after your college career, you have been active as an LPGA teaching professional since 2017. What is it like to be an LPGA teaching professional?
I love the LPGA. So after I graduated, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my career, but I knew I wanted to get my master's degree. And so my coach at Penn State said, "Hey, have you ever thought about being a graduate assistant and continuing, try out coaching and while you're getting a master's degree?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a good, a good possible opportunity for me. So she kind of passed along some job opportunities, and I was able to get a position at the University of Texas El Paso for 2 years. So I started coaching, and I was just going to try it out and see what I thought of it. And within about 5 minutes of coaching and being able to travel with the girls, I realized I loved it. And it was just something that was calling me. And I was like, okay, what do I have to do to do this for the rest of my, career? And so my coach was like, you need to get a professional certification, whether it's the PGA or the LPGA, you're going to want to have more knowledge and be certified. And I said, okay, let's do it. So that's when I started on my path to LPGA certification. So I started in summer or fall of 2017 and finished up. I got my Class A in 2019, and it's been great. The LPGA is a phenomenal organization of all female pros across the country. I've been super involved. I was an intern there for a summer working with, I actually got to go to the Solheim Cup and run their national championship. And I've been on the new member committee now the past couple years as well. I've gone to a lot of their events. So it's just a great organization with females in the golf world, and especially with how golf is really booming right now after COVID. It's just a great place, and I have made a lot of amazing friends throughout the organization. So I just love it.
Yeah, you just touched on you interned at the LPGA headquarters in Florida. How did you end up interning for the LPGA, and what were some of your roles and responsibilities as an intern with the LPGA?
Yeah, a great question. It kind of fell in my lap a little bit. So, with my MBA program, I had to have an internship somewhere, whether it was when I was in El Paso or in the summer. I had to have an internship to be able to graduate. And with coaching, I knew I probably wasn't going to have an internship like during the actual semester because I was coaching the team. So I had to get one in that summer in between my first and second year. And so just looking around, I knew I wanted to stay golf wise. And one of my friends actually sent me, hey, look at the LPGA internship. So I applied for it and was able to luckily get it. And I lived in Florida there for 3 months. So I did a bunch. I kind of had my hand in everything. It was really cool. I worked on a lot of the social media stuff for them. I ran the Teaching Club Pro National Championship and helped with a lot of that organization from an event standpoint. We hosted a couple things at the Solheim Cup because that was the Solheim Cup year. The Solheim Cup is a match between, it's like the Ryder Cup for
Yeah.
females, basically, match between the US and England and Europe, basically. And so I was able to be a part of that. I was actually able to go to both of those events that year and participate and help run it. So that's kind of a lot of the stuff I was working on all summer, and it was just a great experience being in that association, being with all the people that I am now working with almost daily, because I'm an LPGA teaching pro. So it was a great learning experience. And it helps, in my event management. Now that I run my home tournament, I learned a lot of stuff about how to do it through that experience. So it was great.
Mhm. You said it was a great experience. What did you learn, or what was your overall takeaway from being an intern?
Yeah, so that was, the tournament event management piece. I had never really done that before. So being able to manage two really big events and help with the planning, for everything on the back end, and learning all of that was huge. And then just the experience and networking, learning from these amazing, powerful females at the LPGA and learning from their experience and being able to network with a lot of the people that work at the LPGA and get to know their background. It was just a great learning experience.
So you began your coaching career as an assistant coach at UTEP for 2 seasons. How did you end up at UTEP, and what was your experience at UTEP like?
Yep. So I mentioned that's kind of how I ended up at UTEP, just being able to, pursue that graduate assistant in my MBA. But my experience was great. So I learned so much. I had a great boss. So Coach Pelletier, he retired, I think, a year ago, but he really let me learn. So he wasn't super like micromanaging and telling me how I had to interact with the girls. He really, kind of let me have freedom to learn how to be a coach, learn, what I had to do and how I had to be on the golf course, giving me some direction, but I was able to travel to every single event with them and be at every practice. And he just taught me so much about just how to be a coach and how to interact with the players. And from the practice management, I was running, some of the travel with the tournament. So I was really helping in every aspect. So I just learned so much, and I fell in love with helping the players get better and seeing them succeed with me walking the fairways with them, helping just a little bit. So it was just kind of a great intro to coaching. And it was a great experience for me because I had never really been in that part of the country before. El Paso, Texas is way out west. Like it's basically in the middle of New Mexico if you draw a straight line straight down. So also experiencing just a whole different culture and somewhere I've never been before was also great for me and just my development.
Yeah, while at UTEP, you earned your MBA in 2018. Did you always plan to get your MBA, and how was it balancing your MBA coursework and your coaching duties at UTEP?
I always wanted to get my MBA. I knew I wanted a master's in business, whatever I wanted to do. I was hoping to stay in sports business at some point. So I was like, I need to get my master's. And so that was a great avenue to do that. And it was difficult to balance with coaching and going to school. And it was very difficult graduate work. So it was hard. But luckily, I'd kind of done it for 4 years as a student athlete. And so kind of that similar, just being able to manage your travel, talking with your professors. Luckily, all of them were very understanding about my travel and work schedule. But there was a couple weeks that it was it was pretty difficult doing that, but I'm happy I did.
During your 2-year tenure at UTEP, your team earned a pair of team titles and 3 individual medalists. How much did your team success at UTEP mean to you?
It really meant the world, because it was the first time, I was coaching them and working with them, and then to see them succeed and me being a small part of their success, it kind of showed me the path of, wow, this is really fulfilling. Like I could do this as a career because it really means a lot. So to have those successes with those girls, and being able to help them grow not only as golfers but as people, kind of showed me the path of, wow, this like really means a lot, and I could do this as a career.
After 2 seasons at UTEP, you served as the assistant men's and women's golf coach at Jacksonville State during the 2018-19 season. How did you end up at Jacksonville State? What was it like to be a part of the coaching staff at Jacksonville State?
Yeah. Just kind of obviously with a graduate assistant position, it's a set time. You have 2 years and then you graduate. So it's not like I knew I had to be looking for jobs that summer. So just did some interviews, trying to find a good spot to continue my coaching career. And I had an interview with Coach Hobbs. So he was the head men's and women's coach there at Jacksonville State. And I was the assistant men's and women's. And what was cool about that experience was because it was kind of a double program. If we competed at the same time, so if the men and women competed at the same time, I got to take a team basically as an acting head coach, even though I wasn't a head coach. So I learned so much because I was almost thrust into this head coaching role without the title. So it was a great experience for me. And also being able to coach the men, learning so much about their game and how they process information and what they need was just a great learning experience. And I use some of that, even now that I'm back on the women's side, just to be able to learn how their brains work and managing the golf course as well. So I learned so much during my time there, working with both teams. It was just cool to be a part of like a dual program.
Yeah. You said you learned a lot. Can you sum up your experience at Jacksonville State and getting to work with both, the men's and women's teams?
Yeah, like I said, those are kind of my highlights on that. But just again, talking with the men, they see some sight lines that like I can't even dream of because they can hit these high towering drives over trees where I'm like thinking I gotta go this way. So it was just cool to be able to coach them and figure out like what they need in a tournament setting versus just what the women need and compare and how different it was. And then being able to learn from Coach Hobbs, who had been coaching there for like 30 some years and just all of his experience. He coached, Danny Willett and Matt Wallace, who are, Danny Willett won the Masters in 2016. So to just learn from his experience and how long he'd been doing it was great to kind of be under him and get to know all of that information.
Now, after Jacksonville State, you have been the Bradley head women's golf coach since 2019. How did you end up as the Bradley head women's golf coach, and what does it mean to you to be the head women's
Yes.
golf coach at Bradley?
So after that 1 year, I really wanted to be a head coach. I felt like I had enough experience. So I started to apply for some jobs that summer. Fun fact about Bradley is actually I was recruited here when I was doing my transfer. So it was one of the visits that I came on. So I'd actually been to Bradley and I was familiar with the school, familiar with the area, and I actually really liked it a lot. It's just Penn State at that point was a better fit for me as a player, but I did already know about it. So when I saw this job come open, I was like, okay, I'm familiar with the area. It's back in the Midwest. I wanted to come a little bit closer to home. That was part of the reason why I was looking. Alabama was a little bit far away from Ohio. And so I knew a little bit about the school already and the campus, so I applied, and luckily I got the job. I really love it here at Bradley. The academics really meant a lot to me. I was really high into my academics as a student athlete, and so being at a place where the degree really means something helps a lot for me as a coach, because I know that everyone on my team is going to get a degree that is useful for the rest of their life. And our job placement rate is super high as well here at Bradley. So that's been a big help. And that's one of the things that attracted me to the job, because I know that regardless of how they do in golf, their degree at the end of the day means a lot as they move through the rest of their life.
What do you enjoy most about being a head coach?
It's very different than being an assistant. You have a lot more pressure and a lot more responsibilities on you, but you also get to make all the decisions. So I really do. I like being a head coach because you can kind of just control and make the decisions that you want for your team, that you think are the best for your team, with qualifying and practice. So I definitely like it better. You have a lot more of the shouldering the weight and a lot more paperwork and stuff that behind the scenes that I didn't really see much as an assistant. But it's just a great it's a great opportunity to run your program how you want to, and you do the things that is going to help your team continue to improve, and you can try different things year in and year out. If something worked from the last year, you can pull it over, or if it didn't go very well, you can try a different way to do your practice or set up qualifying, and so you have control over all of that. So yes, more pressure, more difficult decisions that you don't really face as an assistant, but with that comes a lot of autonomy, and it comes a lot of, you get to control recruiting decisions. You control everything. So I've really enjoyed it.
How does your team look going into the upcoming seasons? And do you have any notable players on your roster, or is your team, well balanced from top to bottom?
I'm really excited for this group. We only lost one from last year, and we're bringing in two freshmen that have had a lot of experience. One of them just won the Illinois State Junior coming in, so that was really exciting. We have a lot of great returners though too. Mara almost won our home tournament last fall. Grace was one shot out of a playoff to win the conference tournament last year. So Allison has been a solid starter for us. So a lot of great players coming back. I really do think we're really balanced across the 8 that we have on our roster right now. So I'm definitely excited about what we got going this year. We actually have the first round of qualifying later this afternoon. So we will see how it goes this weekend.
Yeah, you just talked about qualifying. So does Bradley have a home course, or are there a few courses your team plays and practices at regularly? And as coach, how do you like to structure, practices, qualifying workouts for your team?
Yeah. So we have 2 home courses. Coyote Creek is like our main one that we spend most of our time at. It's also where we host our home event. Pine Lakes is owned by the same people, so we have access to that as well. But the practice facilities at Coyote are just a little bit more extensive, so we usually go over to Coyote. We also have a place called the Golf Learning Center, which is about 15 minutes away from campus, that has a big range. It has 3 different chipping, bunker areas. And then it also has a 9-hole pitch and putt golf course, which we go and play, at least twice a week, because to work on the wedges, it's just ideal. So those are our facilities. And then the indoor, as I talked about earlier. Qualifying, I try to be as objective as possible with qualifying. What's great thing about coaching golf as opposed to a sport like softball or volleyball is that a score's a score, and every day a 72 is going to beat a 75. So a lot of the times I just let them settle it on the golf course. We're playing 3 rounds this weekend, and the top 6 are going to go to the first tournament. So pretty cut and dry. Because as it should be. So that's kind of how I do a lot of my qualifying. I may exempt some players if they have a really good tournament or something like that, and they don't have to qualify for that next week, but I try to keep it as objective as possible. Practice, it's kind of crazy because they major in whatever they want to. Sometimes we don't have all the team together at practice. So Monday through Wednesday, it's kind of all over the place, but I do a lot of drills and little competitions with the girls, just continue to compete while they're working on their games. So I call it kind of semi-structured. Usually I'll have 2 or 3 things that they need to get done at practice during the week, and then the rest of the time they'll have to work on what they want to. So that's like Monday through Wednesday, and then Friday through Sunday we usually play 2 out of those 3 days for qualifying or just to work on our games. So that's kind of a weekly schedule when we're not on the road.
What tournaments do you look forward to your team competing in each season, and what are some well-run tournaments?
Yeah, gosh, we play in some repeat tournaments every year, and then we try to mix some up. Illinois State's right down the road from us, and they usually have a great event, a great little golf course. We host at home, so we've been hosting now for 3 years, and that's always fun. It's always fun to play on your home golf course, and especially everyone gets to play. Everyone on the roster gets to play, so that's always one to look forward to because the whole team gets to play, and we get to kind of show off our home facilities. Rio in the spring, Rio Verde, hosted by Western Michigan. That's always a highly look forward to event. It's our first event in the spring every year, and it's out in Arizona. So getting out in some good weather, being able to go out there and host housing too. So we stay with people in the community, which is pretty fun. So yeah, I mean, it changes every year, but definitely some good tournaments to look forward to on the schedule.
What conference is your team in, and what other teams does Bradley Golf compete against?
So we're in the Missouri Valley Conference. Illinois State is in our conference. We have like Missouri State, Southern Illinois, Drake, Northern Iowa. Belmont came in new this year with University of Illinois Chicago and Murray State. I'm probably forgetting some. Indiana State. There's 12 teams, so it's a fairly big golf conference. And we see them kind of throughout the year intermixed. We play kind of with a bunch of schools, though. I try to take the teams to tournaments all over the country so that we can see other competition. So just kind of, again, trying to see schools from the MAC and Power 5 schools. We're going to Kansas State this year. Try to get them to see as much competition as we can.
The final question I'm asking all coaches is, what do you enjoy most about being the Bradley head women's golf coach, and what makes Bradley University such a special place?
I love being here, and I love being a head coach with these girls. I think it's all about the players. It's all about them. That's what I enjoy the most. Being at tournaments with them, coaching them, seeing them grow, not only as golfers, but as people throughout their time here, throughout their 4 years, and being able to be a part of that growth and development, and challenging them when they need to be and pushing them to be better. That's my favorite part, is the interaction with them and being able to compete right alongside with them as their coach. And Bradley's such a special place because of, like I said, the academics are so highly valued here. I know they're getting a really valuable degree. We have great facilities for a school of our size, and all the people here, it's unbeatable. We don't have football, so we have a little bit smaller athletic department, but I think it's honestly a bonus because a lot of the administrators, the AD, all of the associate athletic directors, they know the players, they know me, they know what's going on in the golf world, as opposed to some of those bigger schools where it's kind of all about football and basketball. So it's just a special place to be. Peoria, Illinois is kind of a medium-sized town, and it's just a great place for them to have a phenomenal experience. And I'm just really enjoying my time here. I love working with the girls.
Thank you, Coach Morell. You have a really incredible story, starting at Robert Morris to now going all the way, working with the LPGA, and then now being the head coach at Bradley. So you have a really interesting and incredible story, and I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today.
Thank you so much, Gavin, and
Yeah,
everything that you're doing to promote women's college golf. It's really exciting. So thank you so much.